Hey guys, and welcome. How are you all doing? I'm just sitting here with my morning coffee, and I thought I'd just make a really quick video sharing a few things of what I've been going through and am going through, and also a little bit about creation, manifestation, the choice points that we are facing and will continuously be facing over the coming months. And a bit about this space to come into, and the attachment to the story, and how all of these things are coming together. Now, what I'm sharing is, of course, from the messages that I receive and from the channelings. And by no means am I a master of all of this. I'm walking my path every day, and I'm just, I'm practicing everything I'm sharing. So doesn't mean I'm a master of it, but I'm practicing with you guys, and I was called to share a little bit more of my own experience. So over the last couple of weeks, it's been powerful, I guess would be the right word. Intense, powerful, amazing, and at times very challenging. I had an experience with some meditation and energy work where I was, well, it was basically life-changing, because like everything I was shown, everything that happened, I learned a lot from it. I saw aspects of my life in a very, like, from a different, how can I say, more of a dimensional view that made a very different sense of things, some things I've been experiencing in my life, and also the sort of an explanation or an aspect of why and how it has impacted, and like seeing the more of the multidimensional picture of everything, and how divinely many things are, and also how important the free will and making choices ourselves, how important that is as well. And I have to say, I'm in awe when I experience these type of things, like how everything is coming together in a way that I just really could not in any way shape or form imagine in my head or try to plan, or like it's just like way beyond anything of my capacity of fantasy, sort of like how things are coming together and how things are really divinely timed, even though my human at times can be very impatient. I'm gonna be that honest. But in those moments where you have like, everything is just falling together, like, or coming together, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is just like really divine, like how this created that experience, which created this knowledge and this, these emotions, and brought me onto that path, which created this, and like now it's all coming together, and you see it in a multidimensional, like a faceted sort of picture. When I have those experiences, it always brings me into this place of, how can I say this, like really into a sort of a place of letting go, and feeling more safe in letting go of control, and just surrendering, because like I can see how everything is so much more magic than what I can try to figure out with my mind, and try to manifest, or try to control into some sort of being. So it's like it takes it on to a whole new level. Then, of course, as it often is, like you have these experiences, you have the integration. It takes the mind a few days to like catch up and really understand what happened, because it's like an energetic thing first, and the experience, and for me what I see, what I'm taking through, and then the understanding in more of a depth comes with some integration. Then, because of the energies that we have been in for so many years, like there's this experience, then there's this integration, and then it's, you know, it's a time of, now it's like I'm just gonna float on this wave for a little bit. And it hasn't been like that for a while. We know that things are just continuously speeding up. It's moving so quickly. We are letting go, integrating, embodying, finding our voice, like all of these things constantly. And of course then, this week, after what I experienced last week, I didn't understand at the time, because at the time, and the reason why I'm sharing this is to hopefully give an example of how important it is to surrender and let go, and let go of that control. Because the understanding, even in those moments, is limited, because it comes from the mind. And so actually letting go into that unknown is so important, even though it's very challenging sometimes. So with how things were for some years, like having an experience like that, it would be a bit more quiet, and you know, I would just, you know, feel good about it and learn more about it, and it would be sort of a rest, quote unquote rest period. Now, the understanding as well of that would have then been that it made so much sense on a more multi-layered level, with things I have been experiencing, and also some things I am experiencing currently, and about my whole incarnation and why I'm here, and like there's so many aspects in this. And so that would be more of like sort of the present and the past, but still not in the linear sense. This is probably not making any sense. Oh, I hope you're like following me, like more or less. What then have surprised me is that in the practical moment to moment, this week for me has contained so far 3 huge moments of overcoming my fear, of letting go of control and surrendering. And in the practical situations where I've actually had to do it, not in a meditation, not in a, you know, creational sort of space with my mind and my heart, not in a conversation, but really in being in the experience, in the situation, and having to let go, having to go through that fear, release that fear, in 3 very different situations that also has a lot to do with reprogramming, because there are programs created from past experiences of but if I do this and this is going to happen, and you kind of know that no, it doesn't necessarily have to be that like that anymore, and you've been like reprogramming and being aware of it and doing sort of that work, And then it's coming into, oh my goodness, now I'm actually in the situation. And I have nowhere else to go. It's this sort of force in the situation. What creates the feeling of that force is your own resistance. This has become so apparent this last week. It's the resistance because it contains fear, and the fear is only created or comes from programs and past experiences. And then letting go of control, where it feels like maybe, whatever, if am I almost going to die from this, or is this going to create like really, really challenging situations? Am I going to make a fool of myself? Am I, all these different ideas from these 3 experiences I had that were very different, but on very essential parts of my life and very important aspects to overcome for me, for moving forward on the path that is aligned with my higher self, my soul, my heart. And so the fear has been, to the point of just being in tears. Can I actually do this? Am I doing a mistake? The fear of making mistakes. And then there has been one of the experiences was more of just feeling like there's no holding back, like it's just the human, like I felt like this hand in the back, and it was just like no question really, but still that old fear stuck in the physical body, because it's like I have created so many narratives, so many stories, so much around that this is something really scary. So it's both been like very physical level, very different aspects of my life, but all of those situations around letting go of control, surrendering, coming into more of my power, by really feeling I have to let go of all the power or all the safety. And it really shows how much it's just a mind game, even though it's very physical and very somatic in the sense that it's emotions in the body. But when we can understand that we can separate it and not identify with it, and actually move through it and dare to let go, and I'm telling myself this as I'm telling you guys this, it's releasing so much, and it brings us closer and closer to who we are. Because the programs that are distracting us, or that are make us maybe avoid certain things, or having certain patterns in our lives, of I have to do something a certain way, or I can't do it like that, I always have to do something like that, this is, I can't do this, like I'm not qualified to do this, or I've never done this, or other people are better than me, or there's so many things, like I've been talking about in previous videos about worthiness. Shame is a big one. I've been getting several messages of the last 2-3 weeks. Shame is a big one coming up for people. Guilt for many. So there are programs like that are anchored within these emotions, and we have to surrender and let go. Now, surrender is not a giving up. There's such a big difference of I'm just giving up. Like I, just am feeling that you're completely powerless. The thing is to choose to surrender, so you're still in your power, but you're not in the false sense of power, of being in a control from the mind, because that's what we learned. And truly being in our power is something very different. It is actually being vulnerable, is being in the heart and being open, being authentic, walking in integrity. And like I talked about in the last video, when we are committing to ourselves and we are being who we are and we are walking in this, we will make mistakes and we will learn from it, but it's not a huge issue. It doesn't have to be, because if we don't attach all these stories and all these narratives, we are actually coming through it, and we're learning and we're growing, and other people can also learn by the example we are in one way or another. So this pattern of avoiding things was something I was receiving some messages on when I got up this morning. And how I mentioned in several videos before, I think in the spring I made one video on only that topic of manifestation and creation. And in the channelings, they've always been talking about creation rather than manifestation. And what they've been telling me is that manifestation, like you can use what word you want, because it's the feeling. It's not about the semantics, really. But what we have to be aware of is that when we use certain words, they have connotations and associations, and that is the feeling in the body. So it's so important with the language we use. Now the the thing to be aware of, what they've told me around the word manifestation, is that many people are feeling like this force or this judgment, or like I have to manifest this and I have to do it. It's sort of like from the mind, that program again. I have to do it a certain way. I have to be able to manifest this. I'm going to, and it's just that type of energy, which is not creating. But if you come into creation, it's more about surrendering, stepping back, breathing, open your heart, and create from that space. Create with more of an alignment between the heart and the brain, and seeing and feeling and wanting to create something with your energy. It's not about manifesting one specific thing to happen or to show up in your life in a way. Now, it might not resonate at all, because we have very different ways of using these words. But if you have, no matter what it is, if you have like connotations and associations, be aware of those around words and reword what you're or how you're talking about things. So what I are saying is that creation, because they gave me a little bit more on this morning, and they said that creation is from an open heart. Creation is actually putting your creative energy, your life force energy into something, and wanting to put your energy into it. There's no resistance in it, because you believe in it, you want it, you have this open heart, and you're moving towards it. And you let yourself just envision it, to feel it in the body, to, it's a very open flowing state. What I said is that what many are doing, and which is very important to be aware of now, because it brings it back to this with the choice points that we are facing and will be facing, that for many people, when they're thinking about manifestation, be aware of patterns of avoidance in that. Because if you're avoiding something, so you want to manifest this thing, it's not really because that's the thing you want to create. It's maybe because you just don't want this other option, or you're just more coming from a mindset of avoiding something you don't want. If you want to manifest something out of a charged state of avoidance, like either like you're angry at something and you want to manifest something else, and you use that force to just try to push and to manifest something, you are still in resistance to what you're not manifesting. So that means that you're still feeding it energy, because what we resist persists. The reason why that is energetically is that if we are resisting something, we still have our attention on it, and where our energy goes, our energy flows. So when we are in resistance to something, we are still feeding it energy, which makes it not fall away from our lives. We have to release that resistance, and then we can create from an open heart, from joy, from those higher frequencies. And that's so important going forward now, because when we come to these choice points, if we make the choices from our heart, from what feels right within, what's your authentic truth, and not go into a victim state of I had to do this, or but just really take your power back and make your choice around something, and do it from an open heart, no matter what people around thinks, no matter what your fears are, just moving through them, surrendering, not letting your fears holding you back, and trusting. The more you are making decisions that are right for you, that are in alignment with your heart, the more you will also start trusting yourself. Because the more we are abandoning ourselves, the more or the less we are trusting ourselves as well, because you won't trust someone who's constantly abandoning you. And so if we try to manifest something, or we make a choice based on avoidance because we try to get away from something, or a charged emotion of a lower frequency, like guilt, like anger, like shame, and we either trying to avoid those, or we are trying to manifest something in a reaction to the opposite, or something we don't want, we are still feeding it, because we are trying to manifest something of a higher frequency, still resisting the lower frequency. And so we're still feeding the lower frequency, and we're still attached to it. Now, all our stories, all our narratives, all our experiences that we are attaching to is reinforcing this pattern. But if we can see and become aware of when we are doing this, and choose when we are, this is very individual, when we are at a point of when we're just done with this, like I'm done with it, I'm not going to play in this anymore, and it's not like I can't take this anymore, I'm like in that reactionary state, and it's feeling the emotions, letting it through, and being as much as we can coming back to acceptance of where we are at that specific moment. But when we have a choice that we have to make, trying to feel those emotions and let let things settle down and let the emotions move through if we can before we make the decision. And then come back to our hearts. Then come back into the breath, coming back into the body. And feeling what feels expansive. If I feel into, so if I have two options, for example, I will find my breath, I will feel into my heart, and I will picture in front of me or say in my mind or out loud one of the options. And I will feel how it feels. If it feels like an expansion in my heart space or if it feels like a contraction. And then I will feel into the other option and I would feel into the sign. Very often it's a very clear difference. And starting to practicing this really helps when we are at these choice points. And then be really aware when we're moving into something we want to create, to release the resistance to something if we are in that avoidance pattern. And any sort of addiction pattern, which is also about avoidance. And then moving back into this heart space. And then really, in those moments when you want to move into that creation, try the best we can to release any resistance, the thoughts about, all the other stuff going around, and then be in that open heart space, being authentic, being with us, and start from that space to create, to feel. That's creation. Now, if you want to call that manifestation, it's all good. So the messages I've been receiving, or what I've been explaining in these channelings, is not that manifestation is not that, but there are many people who have learned all these steps, like I'm going to do this and then this and then this to manifest, and it's very focused, it's very from the mind, it's very rigid and limited. Rigidity and that space of being within limits and forceful, that's not a space from where we can actually create something. If you don't have those feelings or feeling in that space with the word manifestation, it's all good, you call it what you want, but just be aware of this. And this goes for everything in your life. Be aware of what a word holds, because what you speak, you create. It's very, very powerful. So be aware of what a word holds for you when there are words you say often, and also when it has to do with really observe yourself, how you're speaking about things, because it can reveal a lot about how you feel about things and what programs you hold. Yes, I think that's... Let me just tune in to see if it was something more. Yeah, they keep saying, choose to be free, choose to be free, choose to be free. Freeing yourself from all the programs and coming back into that creational space where you feel free, no matter how restricted something might be around you in your experience, in your life. It's coming back to that, creating that feeling of freedom within. And having these tools that can bring you into that feeling, bringing it into your body, and creating from that space, because then the external will respond to to the shift internally. Hope this makes sense. This was supposed to be like a really quick video. I guess my coffee is cold now. And I hope you could follow me a bit on that on the beginning. I think I want a bit back and forth on that. But the thing is, like, it's the things we are facing, that things that are coming up in every now moment in our lives are so often more multi-layered than what our mind can understand in that very moment. And now things are speeding up so much, so even in those moments for me this week that I have been having to face really on very different in very different situations, but the fear and letting go of control, it's been an awareness at the same time that now I have a huge opportunity to reprogram something that has been deeply ingrained in me by choosing to go through that fear, by choosing to release that fear in the situation while I'm actually taking this action, and choosing to let go. Because then you're releasing the emotion, you're moving through it, you're showing yourself, you're present with yourself, you're moving through it, and you're also reprogramming, because in a very, very powerful way, because you see that there's another outcome. That old story I attached to this, that was such a huge part of this fear, is no longer valid. And that's one of the most powerful ways you can teach yourself something. So use your free choice. You be in your heart, and remember that everything coming up, it's just, even like for me, seeing a lot of the energies unfolding and feeling the energy and getting insights, the things in my personal life, is the way what I'm experiencing is not necessarily exactly, or often not exactly what I sort of imagined or what I had an idea of. It surprises me, both in good ways and in challenging ways. But increasingly I see the gift in the situation, because it allows me to grow, it allows me to move through sort of those last, where I've done the work from before, but now I have to really apply it and do that last, both emotional release, taking the action, surrendering, like all of it in the same situation. And it's so powerful, because it's freeing up a lot of energy. So just trying to come into that acceptance, releasing the resistance to whatever you're facing in your life in any moment, and know that by facing it and not resisting it and not avoiding it, you are growing, you are freeing up energy, and you can come back to create, open your heart, and be really aware of the space you do that from. I hope it's helpful for you guys. Please let me know in the comments. Love reading the comments. Please share the video if it resonates for you. That's very helpful. I'll see you in the next video, and have a beautiful day. Bye bye.